A few of you guys here. Welcome everybody to tonight's webinar, online event. This is all going to be about nursing, success versus survival. I'm just going to promote you guys to panelists alongside with me. So this is going to be a very different, maybe different to other webinars that you guys have been on before. I really encourage you guys to engage, to think about any questions that you have, to ask questions, and really use this as an opportunity to get the questions that you have answered, okay? We've got an hour and a half together tonight. I'm going to promote you guys all up so that you can be here, you can turn on your camera, you can ask me questions. I'll tell you guys when it's a good time to ask you questions, okay? And I'm going to share some slides. I'm going to go through a bit of a presentation tonight, okay? So I'm really delighted to see so many of you on the call. It's fantastic. And welcome to everyone who's just jumping on now. I'll just bring up my slides so you guys can have a look at what we're going to talk about tonight. So I hope you're comfortable. You might have a wine or a cup of tea with you, which would be good. Now, this is what we're going to be talking about. Okay, so you should be able to see me, and you should be able to see a slide with my name on it, okay? If you have a video on your computer, feel free to join us on the video. You can also, there's an option to unmute yourself as well when you're a panelist, okay? So this is a really, really interactive opportunity for you guys, okay? I'm going to go through a bit about my background, why I'm here, why I'm facilitating this opportunity now in a minute, okay? So we'll give you guys a chance to just hop on. So welcome to everybody who's come along. It's great to have you here. Really great. If you don't already have a pen and paper, I highly recommend that you grab some, because it's going to be a different exercise that I can give you guys that you might want to jot down and have up your sleeve for now or into the future when you need things, little tools that you want to have to grab as your go-to. You'll see as we go through the process, okay? So I'm just going to get started. So tonight we're going to be talking about all about nursing survival versus success. And the reason this webinar has come about is because a while ago, probably about 18 months ago, I met Rebecca, who's one of the administrators of the nursing graduate / student Facebook page. And we spoke and met, and I told her about my background and what I was doing, and she said, oh gosh, we'd love to have you as part of this group to be able to facilitate whatever it is. So we did an event a couple of years ago, or maybe it was last year actually, and now this is the next thing that we've done. And this has been really in response to one of you guys, I'm not sure if you're on the call, but someone posted a comment on that page about the struggles that they were having, and it just spurred me on. So my name is Mairead. For those of you I haven't met before, I'm originally obviously from Ireland, but live here in Australia. And I'm also the founder of Spritz Mindset. This is an international community of people, and I facilitate people through a personal mindset development program. And also I am, and I have been for over 10 years, a nurse, and was working as a consultant specialist nurse here in Melbourne, in one of the biggest hospitals in Melbourne, and I adored my job. I loved it. I really, really loved it. But I saw a missing link. I saw an opportunity, and it was something I couldn't let go. I'll talk a bit more about me in a minute. But I want you guys to first of all start thinking about, this is an opportunity for you to be thinking about you, okay? I want you to think about, what does success look like for you? We talk in nursing so much about, unfortunately, and I'm talking to you guys as a peer just as much as I am someone who's been through it, but I know how you feel. But I also know what it's like when we're in the industry. We often talk a lot about the negative side of things. What can possibly go wrong, what is not working. So I want you to just spend a couple of minutes right now thinking about what does a successful career in nursing look like? Really, what does that actually look like? What is it how do we define that? Okay, what does that look like? And what does success look like for you in your life? These are really important things to think about, because often we're just defaulting into how things currently are. You want to start thinking about what success looks like. And if you want to write any responses or thoughts that you've got, there's a question Q&A. You'll see a Q&A box on your screen. You can write the questions in there, and I can, if you want to share what you think success looks like. I know for me, I can talk about my experience. For me, I never really thought about it. I was really in survival mode. I got a job, and this is back in Ireland in 2007, 2008. And it was the start of a recession, okay? So I knew what it was like to come out of university, and there was no opportunity. So the fact that I got a job was like, oh my God, yes. But I remember my mindset and my attitude before, when I was in that state of trying to find something. So I really resonate with you guys who are trying to find your grad year, or trying to find your new job, because I was there and I know what it's like. But now that I'm on the other side of it, I also realize that there's so many limitations we put on ourselves, and because of our own behavior, our own mindset, we're actually distancing ourselves from actually achieving the opportunities that we want. So I want you to just think about, okay, what does that success look like? Okay, is it getting a job? Is that really important for you? Is it a certain specialty that you want to work in? Is it an income that you want to earn? Is it an impact that you want to be a part of? Okay, so what does it look like? What does being a successful nurse and what does a successful career in nursing look like? So is this climbing the ladder? Is this going into management? Is this going into education? Is this going into research? Okay, what does this look like for you? So does anyone have anything they want to share? Anything that they think, you can come and talk to me. I don't bite, no problem. Anything that they think, like, that's what I'm looking for, that's the thing. Or maybe you're at a point where you're thinking, I'm not really sure. I've pursued this because I was 18 when I got out of school. I gave it a go. But here I am, getting to the end of my studies, or at the end of my grad year, and I'm not really sure. And whatever it is, share away. Who's going to talk? Who's a really brave one? You can unmute yourself, or you can write it in the Q&A box, whatever you feel like doing. The more you guys interact, honestly, the more you'll get out of it. Because I can just tailor this whole thing. There's not actually a heap of us here, right? So you can just have this tailored time for you, like a little coaching session. No? Do you want to talk, Sarah? I can see you. You're brave enough to put on your camera. Well, I'll unmute you. Now.
Hi.
I had a feeling you wanted to talk, so I'm just going to...
Well, no one else was talking, so I was feeling bad, so I'll talk.
Yeah, great, go for it. Be the way.
So for me, what I feel would be successful in my eyes would be to be able to manage my own workload. So I'm still at uni. This is my final year.
Yeah.
So that's probably my biggest fear. Like my last block of placement I went to, the preceptors put a lot of pressure on me and kind of said, we expect you to have your full patient workload from like day 2. And I was really shocked because I kind of wasn't expecting that. And I felt like I didn't think that a grad year would be so much thrown in the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I'd have more support, but like I've since found out that like you only have like a week where you're buddied with someone and then you are on your own. So it was kind of a good experience, but it was really scary. So yeah, I feel like I'll feel successful if I can successfully manage my own patient load and still be like comfortable where I can still concentrate and focus on my own life.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So being able to have like a work-life balance as well is important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And how would that affect your life?
Well, I was really, really stressed when I was on that placement. Like the pressure of, I just wasn't ready to have the full 5 patient load, and it just stressed me out, and I would come home and I'd be exhausted and really on edge. And
so if you what would the opposite of that be like? So what can we strive towards? So the opposite to feeling stressed would be that you'd be calm and relaxed in work.
Yeah, and I'd be happy. I wouldn't be as tired.
So you'd have energy.
Yeah.
And then in the end, yeah.
And I think like I'd want to be learning more. Like I wouldn't feel pressured to learn. I'd be like, does that make sense? Like I'd be wanting to go out and do a bit more study instead of feeling like, oh my God, I have to study.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Good woman. That's fantastic, right? So that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's about starting to think about, okay, what does that look like? And then, because then you're in a position, so say, for example, your grad year is like that, then you enter into the workforce in a totally different state. You're looking forward to it. You can see opportunities. These are all the things I want to get you guys thinking about. So that's really great, Sarah. Thanks for sharing. getting the ball rolling for us. It's fantastic. It's really great. So this is what I want you guys to be thinking about, okay? So I want you, because not very often do we think about how it could be. We often just default into how it always has been. And this is what I'm going to talk about tonight. So I'm going to go through a few things. I'm going to talk about, you know, what success looks like in the general world out there, and how we as nurses can fit into it, and how can we raise the bar? Because I feel often in our career we're settling, a lot of settling. There's a lot of survival going on, but why is that? Okay, and how can we make it sustainable so that we can be in this for the long haul if we want to be? Okay, so this is really, really important. But what I want to share with you where this information is coming from. So I work as a mindset development consultant and a success mentor internationally, okay? I'm based here in Melbourne, but I've got clients all over the world. And I work very closely with these guys. This is an institute in Canada. They've been working in the whole concept of personal development, human potential and success for the last 57 years, okay? This is Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher. And some of you may have heard Bob Proctor before. If you haven't, he's worth Googling. He's been really amazing. There's lots of resources that you can get online on YouTube and things like that from his teachings. But he has studied what successful people are like, okay? The characteristic traits that they have, the patterns that they have, how do they go from often very humble beginnings to being successful, okay? And this is applicable across the board, okay? So I suppose my passion, one of my biggest passions is to work with people in the health profession, because I see that other industries get access to information like this or access to tools like this where we don't. So you have to be very proactive. You have to be like the likes of you guys who in the evening time will get on webinars and start looking for information, okay? So I suppose my drive is to try to bring this information to people from my industry, from people who I, you know, come in contact with, who I work with, have worked with in the past, etc. Okay? And these guys as well, I mean, Bob Proctor, he started off as a fireman, okay? He was a fireman in Toronto back in 1961, and his life was pretty average. He was in debt. He had, you know, fond of drinking, was into gambling, was just kind of suppressing the reality of life, with a lot of just kind of menial substances, which, I mean, to be honest, I used to do it as a nurse too. I used to love nothing more than the end of, you know, 4 shifts in a row to go for a wine, right? So his life was just a bit stuck in the rut. And he met a guy called Ray Stanford, and Ray Stanford said to Bob, if you do what I tell you to do, you follow my instructions, and you read this book, you can do, be, or have anything that I tell you. And Bob at the time was like, you know, whatever, man, like, you don't know how bad I am. I'm a fireman. I don't have, like, I'm not from money. My dad's been at war. There's no money at home. I can't go to university. But he said to himself, I've got nothing to lose. I don't believe in myself, but this guy seems to believe in me. So Bob said, well, okay, I'll give it a go. And within 12 months of really deciding that he was going to be successful and working on it, he went from earning $6,000 a year and being $4,000 in debt to earning 175 grand the following year. And the following year after that made his first million. Now you might think to yourself, oh, that's totally foreign from my ideas of success. I just want to get through a day and feel calm, right? But the thing is that the patterns are the same, okay? What success looks like for you is subjective to you. What success looks like for another person is subjective to them, but the pattern to getting there is exactly the same, okay? So what these guys did, so they realized that successful people had certain traits, okay? They had certain characteristics, they had a mindset that was set a certain way, okay? And they had a certain approach to work that made them stand out from the crowd, that made them unique, that made them successful, okay? And what these guys have done is they've created a system to be able to teach people how to create this mindset and this approach and this attitude so that they too will be successful, okay? So I just wanted to give you guys a bit of a background so that you know where this information is coming from. It's research-based, okay? So it's been researched and applied, so not just research, but it's been actually applied to people's lives over the last 57 years. And to talk a little bit about me, here's a few pictures of me if you can't already see me. So I started my career in Ireland over 10 years ago. As I mentioned, at a recession point. It was terrible back in Ireland back then. And I got a job, which meant I was really, really lucky, really fortunate. Majority of people that I qualified didn't have jobs. I got a job. I was working, first of all, I worked in aged care. Then I worked in a post-ICU, like HDU for stroke. And then we had a palliative care wing on that unit. And we had a 30-bed Alzheimer's dementia unit all in one place. There was 4 nurses. It was crazy, guys. When I came to Australia, I realized, I was like, oh my God, this place, it's a completely different working environment, okay? So I was there, I worked in that industry, in that area for about 2 years. And then I came across to Australia, to the land of opportunities, where everyone told me everything was going to be glorious and fantastic, and it was. I had an amazing time. I worked around Melbourne. Well, I started off in Queensland, worked there, worked in Darwin, came to Melbourne, travelled around, worked, did agency, worked. My specialty was in palliative care. And when I talk about my specialty, that was where I focused my attention. People often ask me about my postgraduate qualifications, and I'll talk about this a little bit later on. I'm going to talk to you about the mind and about how our mind works and integrate education into that, because I think it's really, really important. But one of the key things that I often kind of joke about was that I got to the pinnacle of my career within 10 years. There was no kind of further place I could go clinically, and I never went back to university. I didn't study postgraduate. I didn't do anything like that, okay? I just kept working on changing my attitude and working on my mindset. Now, I did it unconsciously for a very long period of time. I wasn't aware of what I was doing. And it wasn't until I started working and studying what these guys were doing that I started realizing that unconsciously I've been confident in this area. And I've been realizing that it was so much more than a piece of paper that you had. It was actually to do with you as a person. So being able to have the right mindset, the right attitude, and being able to be calm and yourself, and all these other tools I'm going to talk to you guys about tonight, okay? So now what I do is I don't practice as a nurse at the moment, only because I can't physically fit it into my working week. I love it. I still have my nursing qualification, and I sometimes will occasionally consult if I'm really, really needed. So what I do on a day-to-day basis is I mentor people from across the world to create the mindset for success. So these are, I've done public speaking arrangements in big platforms, 200, 300, 400 people. I have facilitated groups in workplaces. I've facilitated groups in workshops like that group there that you can see in the photograph, and generally just having a bit of fun. But the most important thing is that I found my vehicle to be able to inspire and help other people. My drive for doing this was because I worked, as I mentioned, in palliative care. And if any of you guys have worked in palliative care, I'm not sure what kind of specialties or areas you guys have worked in before, but it's a beautiful place to work. And if you haven't experienced it, my reason for going into palliative care was because I was terrified of death. And you guys know as a nurse, right? That's a pretty difficult thing to go into nursing with. I also was squeamish, but anyway, that was a whole different ballgame. But I was really afraid of death, and I had no sort of, I didn't really know how I was going to overcome it. So I decided just to indulge myself in it completely. And I worked in palliative care. Well, I think the reason why I changed and why I'm doing what I'm doing now is because I got to a point where, to be honest, there was two things. The first thing was daily. So I was consulting in a public hospital. So I would meet people the day they were diagnosed, or the doctor had been in and given them the diagnosis the day before, and I'd go in the next day, be called by the CNM or the nuns and asked to go in and just talk to the patients about what palliative care meant and how we could integrate it early. But the thing that I suppose was just profound, and I saw over and over and over again, was the level of regret that people had. And they were young people or old people. It didn't really matter. It wasn't age specific. It wasn't sex specific. It was just pretty much an individual who was given this crap news that no one wants to receive, and just to see the level of regret that people experienced. And it was often to do with things like, I've worked too hard, I've been in a job I don't love, and I've always wanted to do these things and I haven't had the chance to do them. And then suddenly time was limited, okay? And for me, it made me sit back and rethink to myself, like, how am I living? Am I living the way that I want to live? And the other thing that I think the reason why, what really drove me as well to doing something differently was because I love innovation, and I love creative thinking, and I love being positive and focused. And I wanted to just be able to give people the opportunity to be surrounded by other people like that. And I couldn't find it naturally in the health industry. I looked for it. I job hopped. I went through jobs every 12 months because I was searching. I worked in education, I worked in research, I worked in consulting, I worked in the community, I worked in inpatient units, I worked in management. I did everything to try and get a taste and find my people. And I couldn't find it. So I decided I was going to create it. So I wanted to be created by like-minded people who were solution focused, okay? So that was my other drive. And that's part of what I created, is a community of people who support everyone else who's going through this, I suppose, growth and these experiences in life, okay? So I just want to give you guys a bit of background on me. I'd love to hear from all of you guys, but I think you guys are being quiet tonight. So I want you to think about, what do you want? Now, I know in the conversations on the nursing group, which I love, by the way, and I just want us to be able to enter into conversations on that group that's solution focused and help you guys. I don't want it to be something like there's always a solution. There is always a solution. 100% there's always a solution. You wouldn't come up with a question unless there was an answer, okay? So I want you to think right now, what do you want? Okay, and this can be as broad as you want the answer to this to be, okay? Because I'm going to go a bit broad now for a few minutes. I'm going to talk about what success looks like for us in life, okay? But what do you really want? Like, I want you to just spend a few minutes just writing that down. You know, like what Sarah said there, she wants to feel successful, that she can manage her patient workload, work-life balance, you know, calm and relaxed in work, happy. Okay, what does happiness look like for you? What does that mean? Is that you seeing yourself smiling? Is that you getting to the end of the day and having energy to be able to go work out or go hang out with your friends, or, you know, cozy up and watch a movie with your partner, or you spend some time with your children, whatever it is, that's what you want, you know, learning and growing and being part of a big impact. You know, what is it that you really want? Okay, so just spend a few minutes just thinking about that and just jotting down a few little notes for yourself. And it can be personal, it can be professional, it can even be about relationships or finances. Okay, these are all things I'm going to talk about because I think it's important. Something that no one ever talked to me about when I was nursing, right? So every time I have the opportunity to talk to people about it, I do, because I find it really powerful. And this is, you know, something exactly like this where I started just over 2 years ago that completely changed my life. Okay, so take it seriously, and I mean that, because it has the potential to really do a lot of good. You know, I only deal with results that stick, and I'm very focused on getting results. Okay, so I want you to think about, if I was able to write you a check now and grant you whatever you wanted, what is it that you want? Okay, it's a good question to ask ourselves as well. And the other thing as well, when you're thinking about what you want, don't limit it to things you already know how to achieve. I think that's a really important point. So often we will limit it because we'll be like, okay, I want to go on 4 weeks holidays next year to Europe. Okay, and you're limiting it because you're thinking, I can only get 4 weeks off work next year. You know, that's all I ever get. I can afford Europe. I can go next year because next year it gives me time to save. You know, I want you to kind of banish the how and just think about what you want. Be inspired. Use your imagination. Let yourself dream. Okay. Now, I want these guys, Bob Proctor and Tanya Gallagher, they've been in this industry of personal development and mindset development for over 57 years. Okay. And the guys, like Bob's my mentor, he's my friend. And I work very closely with these guys because they personally absolutely dramatically changed my life. And the thing that I love about this is that these guys researched, they went around the world, okay? And every time they travel, they always ask these people the same question: what is it that you want? What's important to you? And what they found is that we're actually craving 3 things in life, okay? So this was there was a theme that they found, that we were all craving 3 things in life. So the first thing that we want is we want to be free from financial concerns, okay? So this is generic. This isn't just for nurses. This is for, as an individual. Okay, you might think about you might think about your husband, you might think about your partner, you might think about your kids, your whatever, okay? We want to be free from financial concern. And what this means is that we want to have the ability to be able to walk into a shop and buy a dress, or buy, even like go out for dinner and not have to think, can I afford it? Okay, being free from financial concerns. Can I go on a holiday whenever I want? Can I upgrade a car whenever I want? Okay, it wasn't that we wanted the life of the rich and famous. We didn't really want crib style living. We just wanted to have financial freedom. Okay. The second thing that we wanted was we wanted to wake up every morning enthused about how I'm going to spend the day. Okay. Now, if you think about this and you think about nursing, right, this is a really important part of I suppose, the selling point of nursing is that how we spend our days can be so rewarding. Okay. So I want you to just think about these three things. Okay. So financial freedom, this is something that we can talk about in a minute. It's not something that's really spoken about in our industry. It's not something that's really a selling point. But there is other ways around it. And believe me, I had a business well before I resigned as a nurse, okay? So there is lots of ways around, you know, working and creating more financial freedom. But the first thing you want to just know about is this is what people are looking for. The second thing is they want to wake up every morning enthused about how they're going to spend their day. And the third thing that people want is they want to enjoy daily relationships with other men and women who are upbeat, enthusiastic, and creatively productive. Okay? So now I want you to think about your life and your situation right now, okay? And I want you to compare your life to where you ideally want to be. So I want you to think about financially. Okay, where would you like to be financially? Okay, are you on par to that? Is that working out for you? Okay, is that an area that you'd like to work on? The second thing that I want you to think about, I want you to think about how you feel when you wake up in the morning. Are you looking forward to the day? Okay, now if you're noticing and you're saying to yourself, no, not really, this isn't really it's not really on par, it's not really to plan, that's okay, because what's happening right now is you're becoming aware of the areas of your life that you actually want to improve. And what about the people that you're surrounded by? So what about your home environment, but also about when you go to work? Are those people enthusiastic? Are they upbeat? Are they challenging you in a creative way? Okay, so really start thinking about those 3 areas of your life. And you might say to yourself, I want to actually improve them all, and that's totally fine as well. Okay, but everybody wants freedom. That's what we have found, is that this is what people are really, really seeking. Everybody wants freedom. And when you think about what Sarah mentioned at the start of the call about what she's desiring, right? It's the freedom to be able to manage your caseload in a state where you feel relaxed, you feel at ease. And this is totally achievable, by the way. And this is, I think, what's really worth saying, is that these things are achievable. So the things that you want, they're achievable, okay? You just have to learn a few tools and tricks to be able to create the shift to make this happen, okay? It's really, really important. So what does this look like for you? So I want you to just imagine, okay, even if you just want to get comfortable for a minute, and I'll just talk you through this, so I'm gonna get you guys to close your eyes. So if you want to just sit and get comfortable, you can, maybe don't lie down because you might fall asleep this hour of the night. But just sit and get comfortable. And I want you guys just to close your eyes, okay? And I want you to just take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just if you haven't closed down your eyes, you just close down your eyes now. And just let your body relax. Okay. And I want you to imagine that you've just woken up and you're in bed. You're still lying in bed. You've just opened your eyes. It's the start of your day. And you're feeling really relaxed. You've woken up and this is a perfect day. The day is going to unfold exactly as you dreamed it would. So you get up out of your bed and you just feel so relaxed. Your body is so at ease. And you look around your room, you just take in everything. Your room is neat and tidy. Everything is relaxed. You leave your bedroom and you go out to the kitchen, walking up the corridor towards your kitchen. And you sit down and you have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. And you just feel really relaxed. You head back into your bedroom, you have a shower, and you get ready for the day. And remember, this is your dream day. You're going to work at your dream job. You get dressed. Maybe you're in a uniform. Maybe you're not. But you notice yourself in the mirror and you just look at yourself in the mirror and you smile and you're happy with everything that you've achieved. You feel this amazing level of calmness in your body. There's a happiness because you're living the life that you wanted to live. You go out, you make your way to work. Maybe you get into your car, maybe you hop on the train. However it is that you get to work, you make your way to work. And you just notice how calm your body feels. And you get to work and you walk through the door and you're greeted by people. Everyone seems really happy to be there. They're relaxed, They're smiling. You notice that they're smiling. And your day unfolds exactly how you wanted it to. You meet your patients, you meet your team, you get your breaks. Things get done. You feel really satisfied. Your patients are really well looked after. You're sitting down, you're writing your notes throughout the day, and you just notice how relaxed your body feels. You've been able to manage your work really well today. It's a real level of satisfaction in your body. The next shift comes to start their shift, and you're handing over to them, and you're just really proud of how your ward looks, how the patients look, you know, how they have experienced the day. You hand over, everything just got well. It's such a good day. Everything went so well. You finish up work on time and you head off to spend the evening as you want. Maybe you catch up with friends, maybe you go to the gym, maybe you go to yoga, maybe you go shopping, out for dinner, whatever it is that you enjoy. Maybe you go home and have a bath, but you still have energy, you still feel really good and satisfied with the work that you've done that day. You know what it means when they say, I've mastered leaving work at work. You feel free. You notice how relaxed your body feels. You come home, back into the house. You have your shower and you hop back into bed. Really satisfied with this wonderful day that you've just had. You smile to yourself before you drift off to sleep. Now, I want you guys to just come back in. You can wiggle your hands and wiggle your feet. Maybe rub your hands together. You can just place your hands over your face. And just slowly blink your eyes open. You can take your hands down from your face now. So I just want you guys to jot down, what were the main things that you enjoyed about that day? What made it special? What were you doing? And if anyone wants to share anything in the Q&A box, you can just write. You can just write in the question box at the top. Anything that you want to share. Maybe something that surprised you. Maybe something that really resonated with you. Whatever it was that you enjoyed. Or if you want to just come and talk, you can do that either. You should have the option to be able to unmute yourself, or you can write your answers in the Q&A box. Maybe you found it hard. Maybe it was hard to imagine what your ideal day would look like. And that's okay. There's no right or wrong here. There's absolutely no right or wrong. You should feel very safe and very comfortable here, okay? Because this is what this is all about. This is an opportunity for you to be able to be you, and you know that I'll be able to help you in some way, bring some of these tools back into your day so that you can experience your day-to-day life, hopefully with a bit of a extra spring in your step. Okay. It's okay if no one wants to share. Don't worry. I understand it's a bit scary the first time. Monica, I like the feeling of accomplishing something, but being relaxed while doing it. The absence of stress, I think. Yeah, it's different, right? It's often something that we don't even entertain how that would feel. But when you understand how your mind works and how powerful your mind is, your subconscious mind, it doesn't know the difference between something that's imagined or something that's real. So if you use that tool to, it's really like nearly like a meditation, right? To walk yourself through that, visualizing, that's what I would call it, visualizing. To walk yourself through that experience, your body doesn't know the difference between if you've really experienced that or if you've just imagined it, okay? And remember that your subconscious mind, I'm going to talk about this a bit more today, but your subconscious mind is the control center for everything in your life, your behavior, your patterns, and the results that you're getting. So the more time that you can spend really, I suppose, programming yourself to imagine that this is how life is going to be, the more likely you are to actually experience it, okay? So if you notice that you were waking up in the morning and you're fretting and you're not looking forward to the day ahead and you're stressed and you're anxious and you're feeling all these feelings, you'll often notice that your results will be that way. But if you can just start your day off by just allowing yourself to feel that little level of calmness, you know, preparing yourself to have a good day, then often what you'll notice is that you'll have that knock-on effect as well, okay? Sarah said as well, smiling, feeling of calm, peace, and having energy at the end of the day. Having people around me feeling happy and at ease too. It's great, guys, right? So this is what we want to be doing, okay? We want to be channeling our mind and using it as the tool that it is to create a positive image of how we want this experience to be. It's really, really important. And throughout tonight, I think we've got less than an hour together left. Throughout tonight, what I wanted to say as well is that, like, I've got these little mind hacks or little things that I can tell you guys that you can start using, okay? And one of them, this is a really powerful tool. And then Belinda said, having a job in research and constantly learning new things, right? So this is a really important part of our career. We want to be evolving and growing. And this is the thing as well, it's so subjective to you. And there is no right or wrong. One person might want to be surrounded by babies, another person might want to be working palliative care, another person might be in research, another person be consulting. It's totally okay. There is no right or wrong. It's just good to start thinking this way, okay? And one of the things that I would say, so I started studying this material, and this material is all coming from a program that I facilitate. And I started studying this when I was still working full-time consulting. I had a really stressful job. I was the only palliative care nurse consultant in a massive hospital. You guys would all know it. I might have even met some of you guys there. Anyway, and one of the tools that I learned that you guys could start adopting straight away is I used to drive to work, and I made a decision a long time ago that I wasn't going to listen to the radio in the morning. I just started listening to podcasts or some sort of inspirational music, because I found that if I was listening to negative news on the way to work, it didn't really set me up to have a good day. It was just something I became aware of and I stopped doing. So that was the first thing I would do. But then when I would get to work, and this might sound fluffy, and you know, you guys can choose to take from this what you want, but I'm a very matter-of-fact, results, science kind of person. But I've learned that by applying these things, I've realized that there is a science to all of this. It's just that it's not something that's readily available. But one of the things that you guys might want to try, because it might help you get into this positive space before you get into work. So I used to get to work and I drive and I park my car in the car park. And I used to just sit and I used to imagine this lavender bubble around me, okay? And I would imagine myself sitting there and I'd be like, okay, I'm in my lavender bubble. It was like, to be honest, I just imagined it like an egg that I was like stepping into, okay? And I'd see it like two things. First of all, my energy, my cup was filled up, okay? I was feeling good. I was, you know, I don't know if you guys have practices around meditation. I mean, it's not something, what I do is very different to meditation or mindfulness. It's very, very different. But I still think those practices are very worthwhile. So if you have a meditation practice, you could do that in the morning as well. Really powerful. Like some of the apps that I find have been very helpful has been most in particular Headspace, which you can download an app and get 10 days for free. So you could even do 10 minutes of meditation, right? Then you step into your purple egg. This is all in your mind, right? But like I would physically see myself stepping into it. And I would see it like it was like a force field, and it was two ways. First of all, my energy was filled up. So my energy couldn't get drained from external things. Regardless of what was happening, regardless of what I was doing, my energy was still good. And the other thing as well is that other people's energy couldn't get in. So we're in health, you're in an environment where you're coming in contact with people all the time who may not have a very good outlook on life, may not have a very good attitude towards health or their lives, because generally our bodies are like, they're kind of like a dumb terminal. They just manifest what's going on inside of us. Okay, so being able to protect yourself in that way means that, you know, often you can leave at the end of the day with a bit more energy, a bit more of a kick in your step. So I would see myself in this lavender bubble, and I would just see it like a little force field that I had around me, and then I would go into my day. And, you know, majority of my work was having really difficult conversations with patients, families, doctors, you know, facilitating that conversation or having it. So being able to be in that place of like knowing that, you know, I'm protected, you know, they're protected, we're all just kind of, I was just in this beautiful bubble. I noticed very, very quickly, probably within about 5 weeks of practicing that every morning, maybe even less, but 5 weeks was like significantly, I noticed it, that people around me, they didn't affect me, but also they all started getting a bit chirpier in the mornings, which was fantastic, because it was just kind of a byproduct of trying that. So that's something that you guys can try, okay? Lavender bubble in the mornings. And sometimes if I needed a little rejig during the day, I would just kind of go to the ladies or whatever and just kind of sit and just be like, everything's okay, calm yourself. And even if you just tell yourself that you're calm, like I am calm, my body is calm, and you just take a few deep breaths, it has this natural effect that's going to just calm your body down, okay? And when you're in a calm state, you make much better decisions. I don't know if you've ever noticed when you're stressed, it's the time that you make the most ridiculous, irrational decisions that you never would have made if you were feeling calm, okay? So the more that you can get yourself in a calm state, and that's why they talk about the science around meditation and you know, mindfulness practices, because it makes us more present, it makes us more in the moment, and in the moment is when we make the best decisions, okay? I'm getting a little bit sidetracked, but it's okay. Anything that I feel is going to help you, so that you guys took the time each night to be on the call. So there's two things that you need to know in order to be happy and successful, okay? You need to know where you are, you need to know where you're going. Now, for a long time, this is what I thought all you needed to do. I don't know if any of you guys feel this way, but I felt lost. So I spent 10 years in a career. I got my prime job. Like, I was like, oh my God, everybody, I went for the interview. Everyone was like, you're not going to get it. You don't have your master's. I knew who I was competing against. They were 15 years more qualified than I was. You know, you're never going to get it. You're never going to get it. This is all I heard. And I was like, no, I'll get it. I want it. I know what to do. I know what to research. I know how to be prepared for the interview. And I got it. And I thought this was it. This is where I wanted to go. And I thought, okay, once I get that, I'm going to be happy. And that was the biggest blow ever, because I realized that's not it at all. And what I realized very soon, I went looking for something in information, because I thought, okay, well, if the job hasn't done it, what's going on? Why aren't I feeling satisfied? Why aren't I feeling successful? Why aren't I feeling happy? And I realized that there was a lot of people feeling that way. The majority of people were feeling stuck and unhappy. Okay, so if it was just as simple as of us just identifying where we wanted to go and achieving it, then why was there so many of us unhappy, right? Well, what I realized was it wasn't about the goal. It wasn't about achieving the goal. It was actually about where we are right now. And this was a game changer for me. And this is something that if I was you guys, I'd pay a lot of attention to, because this is the opportunity for you to be a standout from the crowd. This is how you will be successful in whatever endeavor you choose to go after, okay? So where you are, and what the word in particular that really, really you want to hang on to is the word paradigms, okay? Now, paradigms, some of you guys might have heard about this word before in different contexts, but I'm going to explain to you what I mean about in the context of you as an individual and how you can apply it in your nursing career, okay? So your paradigm, this is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. And almost all of our behavior is habitual. Okay, so I really want you to think about that. So your paradigm is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior, and almost all of our behavior is habitual, okay? So what we're saying here, what does that actually mean? So what are paradigms? What does that even mean? A paradigm is a multitude of habits. But the thing is that you don't have to feel bad because it's other people's habits. And this is what I feel is happening in our career, in our profession. Our paradigm, our cultural paradigm needs to shift. Okay. Now, people often say, "Oh, I can't change the whole cultural paradigm." You can change your experience, and you can change your paradigms. And they say, one man can change the world. So I think the more people who know about this and know about how they can be empowered in this way, the better effect it's going to have across the industry. Okay. But the thing is that don't feel bad. So if you've noticed that your habitual behavior, so basically what your paradigms are, they're programming that's in your subconscious mind, okay, that controls your habitual behavior without you even thinking about it. So there's certain things that we all do that we don't even realize we're doing. So for example, the way I use my hands when I talk, I don't consciously think, oh, I'm going to use my left hand, I'm going to put it like this, I'm going to use my right hand, I'm going to put it like this, right? I just naturally do that because that's how I've been conditioned, okay? If I went back through the generations through my family, my father probably does it, my granny probably does it. There's probably been this pattern of people throughout the generations that have done it, right? So the same thing with your paradigms, and the same thing with your paradigms as a nurse. So the way that you work, you've learned that from somebody else, okay? The way that you feel in work, that's been something that you've experienced probably because some other nurse along the way told you she was stressed, working hard, all these things that they all become part of the way that we work without us even thinking about it, okay? And that's a really important thing to do. So it's usually passed, or to know, sorry, it's usually passed on from one generation to the next. So just to recap on that, because this is a really important point. So your paradigm is a multitude of habits that are stored in your subconscious mind that are controlling your habitual behavior. And if you look at mindset, okay, I mean, it's such a buzzword. I was all over this when I was in nursing world. Like I just loved that concept, like your mind and your mindset. And I could see the difference between, when you work with doctors who are so dynamic and friendly and optimistic and like just beautiful souls, right? And you can see how effective, you can see how the rapport is built with their patients. You can see how effective their work is, right? But then you look at, on the other side, at maybe another doctor who maybe is grumpy and, agitated, and you see the way their work is and you see the patient experience. You can even actually look at outcomes. Like, this is passive. I don't have facts and figures to back it up, but I could see it. I could see the outcomes for patients. If patients were surrounded by people with good attitudes, nurses, doctors, everyone in the MDT, and patients were surrounded by a really stressful environment, teams that were broken, poor workplaces for the environment of staff that they were in, I could see it, right? So just start noticing these things about the environment that we're creating for patients as well, okay? So what areas of your life does your paradigm affect? So think about how much your habits affect you, okay? They affect your beliefs, they affect your effectiveness, your relationships, your perception, your use of time. Like, who would like to be able to use their time more effectively, right? It's something we all want to work on and we all want to get better at, because we only have a certain amount of hours in work. We want to be able to get much more effective. Now, you can't manage time, but you can manage your tasks, okay? So it's about getting much more effective with your tasks. And the way that you do that is by developing your mind, honestly. Your ability to earn money. I often touch on it on these presentations because I want you guys to know that there is the opportunity in life, that you don't have to be restricted in one way of making money, and just to plant that seed for you guys, because I didn't think that way when I was a nurse. But once I heard hearing about it, I was curious and I started thinking more about it. Your productivity, your logic, your success, okay? Your creativity, your workplace culture, huge, okay? And you're all part of that. I was part of it when I was there. And I'm telling you, like, so when I started studying all this material, I was in this crazy new job that I got, and I didn't think I was going to leave, okay? So at the start, I was just studying this, and I was working, and I was thinking, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. This is really helping. This is really helping me. But I really started noticing how I was in a team of probably about 7 other consultants. They were in other hospitals. And we'd meet once a week, and I started noticing, so they'd all been in the job for like between 15 and 20 years, and I was new. So I was the newest member of the team, and no one had joined the team for like years and years. But I started noticing over a very short period of time how the attitude changed. I just excused myself from meetings where it was just a bitching session, to be honest, and I just wouldn't go. And it really rubbed up the wrong way at the start. But then we started realizing, well, this is unproductive use of our time. So we just started getting much more effective with, okay, let's have a meeting with an agenda and go through it. And then when it's done, we finish and we get back to what we need to do, right? So you don't underestimate the power that you have as an individual for yourself and for your life, because you're totally in control of that. But also the knock-on effect that you can have on a bigger scale with the culture of the workplace that you're in, okay? But it all has to start from within you. That's the key. It's not external. We think it's about processes and plans, and if we could just get this right, it's all within us, okay? So it's the paradigm, and the paradigm controls you. This is really important. Oh, gone too fast. As you start to understand your paradigm, you start to change your life, okay? So I want you to really start thinking about that. But what I wanted just to do now, I want to do one other little exercise, because I think this is going to help you guys. Okay, we have time. So if you have a paper and pen again, I want you to write out a situation. I'm going to read it exactly how I want, read the question exactly how I wanted to share it with you guys, because it's really powerful, okay? Think of any situation where you're not getting the results that you want. Anything, work, relationships, it doesn't really matter. But it might help if it's a nurse, because we're talking about nursing today, right? In as much detail as you possibly can, describe the situation. So write this situation on a piece of paper. I'm going to get you guys to, like, if you have a journal or something, try to just write it on a piece of paper that's separate to your journal, just because I'm going to get you to rip it up or burn it or something, like to destroy it, okay? But I want you to just get the situation off your chest onto paper. And just go for it. Give it all the emotion. Imagine this is like you're handing this situation over to something. You're giving it away, okay? And if you have lots of situations, just pick one. What's the most predominant one? What's the first one that comes to mind? And this is a really, really powerful tool when it comes to being able to release, let go. So you want to really burn up that emotion. If someone's pissing you off, or someone's, rubbing you up the wrong way, or someone's, whatever it is that they're doing, just get it off your chest onto that piece of paper. Sarah, you're my little guide to see when people have stopped writing. Can't see anyone else. Good. Okay, so this is another exercise that you can do. Okay, so that's the first part of it. So what you do is you want to think of a situation. You can even just write this down so that you can have it up your sleeve for later. Write out a situation where you're not getting the results that you want in as much detail as in as much detail as possible. Describe this situation. Okay, then you want to say the second thing is, now in as much detail as possible, describe the same situation but in the way you truly want it to be. Clearly write this description in the present tense. So you can write it like, okay, so say for example, I'll give you an example. The situation I want to change in work is going to work every day and feeling like not being able to take in everything I need to take in from handover. It starts me off feeling anxious. Then I go and see my patients. I don't get a proper handover. So you could go through your working day, okay? When the situation is that when I go in there, the room is really untidy. I have to spend the first 20 minutes trying to clean up after the night shift before. When I look after my patients, I feel like I never can get on top of my workload. All right, so you can that's it, the first one. It's like, I'm really annoyed. The team I work with is crap. Whatever. Get the emotion, let the feelings come, let the words come. Then you want to write the situation as you want it to be. I'm so happy and grateful that every day when I go to work, I feel so at ease. My body is relaxed. When I walk into work, I'm greeted by a really friendly, supportive team. My workload flows with ease. I love the patients that I look after. Right? So you're using your mind again as a tool to create the situation as you want it to be. Now, the trick to this is the first piece of paper that you had, you want to destroy it. Like I literally burn these because I'm like, I don't, and you release it and it's gone. And then every day you're focusing your attention back onto how you want things to be. And what you're going to start doing is you're actually going to start creating new neural pathways in your mind that actually believes this is how life is going to be. Okay. And that's the first part. So if you think about paradigms, so your paradigms is your habitual way of thinking that creates your habitual behavior, creating the results in your life, and it brings you more of the same. So if we can start changing it from a mindset point of view, this is how we create permanent shift. Okay. This is really, really, I know it's a bit heavy for this hour of life, but if you just take in what you can, you don't have to remember all this. And I'm going to send all you guys a recording of this as well. So you're going to have a recording of this webinar, so you can go back through it again. But the key to all of this is that it has to start with a decision. Okay. And what I mean by that is you need to decide for yourself that you're worthy of a good life, that you're worthy of the achievements that you want to achieve. Okay. And I will tell you now, the key, like I would say the number one key to the success that I had in my career was to do with my attitude. Like I stopped caring what other people thought. The most important thing for me was being an advocate for my patients. And I loved what I did, but I would not take crap. So if a doctor was saying something, if a manager was saying something, and I didn't think it was in the best interest of patients, I had the attitude of, well, you know what, get over yourself, Mairead, because that person needs you as their advocate. Okay. And these are the kind of attitudes, this is the kind of fire that you want in your belly to be able to go out there and to make the changes that I know you're all seeking. Like you wouldn't be here on this call on a Monday, Tuesday, Monday night at this hour of night unless you really had a desire to be doing a really good job. Okay. And I really commend on you guys. I think it's fabulous. I think that, I mean, I wish that I had access to this kind of information when I was at your level, like when I was, you know, just starting and pursuing my career. I don't know what it would have done. It would have probably shortened my 10 years into 5, I reckon. But you know, this is great, like use it, but notice what decisions you're making. Don't settle, you know, aim for the stars, aim for what it is that you really want, and be true to you. Like, don't worry about workplace BS, right? Put it to the side, because at the end of the day, you can leave that. You can go on, you can further your career. It's all gonna be short term for now, right? It's all gonna evolve. And in 5 years' time, guys, you'll look back at these situations. The most important thing is that you are good among it all. It is the most important thing, because that's the one thing that you can't change. You can get a new job, you can get a new boss, you can get new colleagues, you can get new patients. But at the end of the day, you, your body and your mind, that is always going to be with you. So that's the most important thing. So making a decision, you know, and this is another thing I help people with. We as nurses are diabolical at making decisions. And not so much about our patients, but about ourselves. We really put ourselves down a lot, right? And we're really thinking about, you know, oh, our decisions come from places usually of lack. Oh God, I'm just going to take this job because I'm afraid I won't get another one. Or this grad position. Like when I hear, I mean, guys, if we look at, you know, one of the things that Bob Proctor taught me, he says force negates. And what it means is that what we're forcing will get further away from us. And when you're desperate for something, it's like you're strangling it and you're killing it. But when you're relaxed and you have a level of internal belief and you expect and you have faith, that's when things start rolling and coming your way. Okay, so it's creating that shift, making a decision that you're going to do it. Okay, so where attention flows, energy flows. So where do you put your attention? So this is why I've been getting you guys tonight to really think about how you want the situations to be. Because if you keep putting your attention in that place, that's where it's going to go. Okay, so your attention is going into the area where you want your energy to flow. Okay, so where does your attention go? So think about that. Okay. So the way that really you can overcome and recreate paradigms, there's two ways that you can do it, okay? One is usually, most paradigms get changed through emotional impact. And this is usually something negative that happens. So often, say at the moment, the way that we have a stress response often to our workplace, that usually happens as a result of some emotional impact that we've had. So it may be that you went to work one day and some nurse said to you, for, you know, God's sake, can you ever just hurry up and get things done? And it's really affected you, okay, emotionally, usually in a negative way, and your behavior has changed as a result. So now every time you go to work, you think it's going to be stressful, and it's created a paradigm of stress in your life, okay? The second way that our paradigms are changed or created is through constant spaced repetition and coaching, okay? And the reason, this is a positive approach, and the reason that that works is because right now you're not even aware of your paradigms. And this is what's amazing, okay? It's us, it's our habitual behavior, but we can't see it because it's from our subconscious mind. And this is what I help people with, okay? So this is really what you want to be thinking about, is what are the habitual behaviors that are holding back? But I wanted to just touch on your mind. You know, you often hear all these things around your mind is a powerful tool. Your mind holds the key to the riches that you seek, right? All these kind of famous one-liners. But what does it actually mean? I mean, I never understood it. I was like, yeah, okay, I know my mind is powerful. I know it has got potential far beyond what I'm using right now. But how can I access it, and what does that actually mean? And if you're like me, you're not alone, because the majority of people feel that way. From what I've studied, I found this really amazing way of understanding our mind. So I want to really look at your mind and paradigms, okay? And I'm just going to go through this really briefly. There's a lot of information that I prepared for you guys because I wasn't sure how the night was going to unfold and what we were going to get up to. It's always kind of depending on who's here and what kind of crowd and what you guys want. So I want to just kind of give you guys as much as we can in the time that we've got together. For this guy, whose name I can't see because there's all this coverage on top of my page right now. I think it's Herman Fleet, was it? Anyway, the person's whose name you can see at the top of your screen, the doctor, he used to work, he was a doctor and he worked a lot in healing arts and holistic health, okay? And he said there's a problem, we've got a problem, we're treating symptoms, we're not treating causes. So when you think about the things that you want to improve, okay, we often treat the symptoms. So for example, what Sarah brought to the table earlier, which I'm really grateful for, Sarah, because you really set the tone, which is great, and I think most people would have really benefited from that, which is really fantastic. Say for example, you say to yourself, I want to get more effective with my time management, I want to feel more relaxed, okay? Treating the symptom will be something like, you know, getting a new workflow chart, okay? We're treating the symptom, it's the external symptom, okay? That's the byproduct of what's going on in your mind, because it's your habitual pattern that's controlling that behavior, okay? So what he said was that the mind is an activity, not a thing. No one has ever seen the mind. So in order to create clarity and eliminate confusion, we have to create an image of the mind. And this is a really important thing. Like, our mind only works in images. Okay? So that's why I've been getting you guys to see yourself in the space of a perfect day, because that's how you'll resonate with it. It's not by me saying words. My words are only creating in your mind an image, okay? So what this guy realized was that, okay, we're saying the mind is the center of all creation, of all results, of everything like that, okay? But we don't even have an image of the mind. So if you think about what your mind looks like, what comes to mind? Right, excuse the pun. Okay, some people might say their brain, some people might say, okay, but your brain isn't your mind, okay? Your brain is an organ, but your mind is energy, okay? Your mind is in every cell of your body. And if you really think about it, because, yeah, if you really think about it, and I mean, this is a whole other topic for discussion another day, you know, your mind is the energy, okay? So what he realized was that we didn't have an image. He said, I'm going to create an image to give people some clarity. And this is where I'm going to talk about for you guys about education, because I think this is really important for you to think about. This is just all about me helping you raise your awareness about where you're at right now and help you try and move through this process. It's much easier from school, grad, finished nursing, and then onwards, right? This is universal. This won't stop. There's constantly going to be growth and constantly going to be areas that we want to improve. This is what the image that they created as the mind. The big circle represents the mind. Small circle represents the body. And this is on purpose, because the mind is actually the control center of everything else. Your body, your actions, your results, okay? And they divided the mind into two, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Now, if you study the mind and psychology and things like that, they'll tell you there's more than this. But for the purpose of what I'm talking about today, this is what I want to talk about, okay? So, and this is one of the most valuable things that I've ever learned, okay? Because if you can understand this and you can get this into your mind to a point where you actually understand it and apply it, this is what will change the results for you in your career. And I mean that. It will absolutely not just change them, transform them, okay? This is what's really, really powerful. Okay, so you've got the stick person, if you want to call it a stick person, okay? And this is what's happening, right? So your conscious mind is your educated mind, okay? This is where information goes, up here. All these books up here in your conscious mind, okay? But school never taught us how to alter our old paradigms. So we're going along and we're filling our minds with all this information, right? But our habitual pattern remains the same. Okay, so for those of us that are trying to make improvements, okay, because we want to be successful rather than surviving as nurses, okay, we need to really realize and think about how we can work on changing our paradigms, because what's happening now is we frequently don't do what we already know how to do. So we learn the knowledge, we get the knowledge, okay? We acquire the knowledge, we get our degree, we get our master's, whatever, right? But our behavior doesn't change. Like if you just think about people that you know when you're in your nursing career, okay? I mean, I remember thinking back on, oh my God, when I thought about this, people in our career, right, who've done their degree or whatever, they're finished, okay, and then they go do postgraduate, and then they go do their masters, and they're working as nurses. How does their behavior actually change? The majority of them, and I'm being a bit generalistic, and maybe it's not for this isn't the same rule for everybody, but there's definitely a selection of people in that group whose behavior doesn't change at all. They're doing the same thing day in, day out, day in, day out. So this is basically a perfect example of how in our conscious mind we can accumulate all this knowledge, all this information, but our paradigms don't change. Our subconscious programming remains the same. So what happens is we keep getting the same results over and over again. So we have to break the cycle. We have to break the cycle where it matters, which is in our paradigms, okay? So what happens at the moment is that we're getting superior knowledge. You guys are so knowledgeable. And you know why I say that is because you have a thing called a mobile phone that has Google on it. And it doesn't matter where you are. You could be in work, you could be in uni, and you can go onto Google and it will pretty much tell you the answer to anything, okay? So that's how much access to information you have, okay? Well, at the same time, I feel, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, I feel like our current graduate, current student clientele are the most frustrated. And I don't know if it's because there isn't more access to information, and this is what's proven this point, superior knowledge, inferior results. So, you know, there's more information, we want things quicker, we want things faster, we want things more immediately, okay, because we're aware that that can happen now, okay, but what's happening is we're not changing it on that deeper level. So what's happening, what we need to do is we have to teach you guys, and this is what I want you to start thinking about, is your habitual behavior. We want to teach you how to create new paradigms on that subconscious level, because what that's going to do is that's going to create new results for you, and that's how it's going to be permanent, okay? So thinking about that, I want you to start thinking about what is the habitual patterns that I have in my life. Now, this may be patterns external to you. This may be in your working practices. Maybe you arrive to work early, like an hour early, and you spend the first hour fretting about what you're going to do. Maybe, you know, are you questioning your work practices? Or also, I want you to think, and this is actually probably more important, what about your habitual thought patterns? Are you already sabotaging yourself before you even get out of the car in the morning, before you even go in for your day's work? Okay. Are you already expecting it's going to be hard because everyone around you told you it's going to be hard? Are you already expecting to not get a grad year because everyone said it's impossible to get a grad year? Okay. What are the habitual patterns that are going on in that subconscious part of your mind? Okay. The first step to all of this is awareness. You have to become aware of them before you can do anything about it. Okay. And then you need to be honest, you generally need to get a bit of help. But tonight's purpose is really just about waking you guys up and making you realize that there is another way, and a way that can be significantly better. Okay. And this is a bit of I might just skip that slide. It's going to be too much information. I just want to talk about this one very briefly. I never realized until I stopped that I was living in this. So if you can see the first stick person on that slide, on the left-hand side, which is minus, 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 okay? Ignorance, worry and doubt, fear and anxiety, okay? If you knew me beforehand, you wouldn't think that's how I was feeling, okay? Externally, I probably looked like I was doing okay. But I just realized when I stopped to think about how I was feeling internally, that this was how I was living, okay? And ignorance, it's not ignorance in a disrespectful way. It's ignorance is in the lack of knowledge. And when I think about ignorance, I think about I had a very little understanding of me, of who I was, what I stood for, what was important for me, my voice, what was important, what I stood for. Like they're really the key things, and how I wanted to see myself, what I wanted to do with my life, okay? I was constantly worried. I was worried about what other people would think. I was worried about what would my family think? What would my partner think? What would, you know, like, you can only imagine all the thoughts that were going through my mind. I mean, because some of you guys are probably experiencing these on a daily basis as well, right? What about what if something goes wrong? If I make a medication error, if the patient isn't looked after properly, if I don't get to empty that drain quick enough, or if I, you know, they don't get their syringe driver changed quick enough. And I was constantly worrying, and then I'd be doubting myself. Did I give that thing on time? You know, this was a constant habitual pattern that was going on in my mind. And I went to work fretting, fearful of what the day had held. And I was fearful of being sued. These are the thoughts that used to go much through my mind. And then what happened is, over time, it accumulated in my body. Now, I was completely unaware of this, but I burnt out. I completely burnt out. I remember it was an accumulation of things. It was work. I was working as a manager in a unit. It was the first time I'd ever been in that kind of role. And I also was going through a pretty sticky relationship at the time. And what else is happening? Oh, just a lot of, like, this is probably, if anyone else has experienced burnout, and hopefully you haven't. I hope you haven't. You don't realize you're experiencing burnout when you're in it. Unfortunately, you only realize it afterwards. But it's a pretty debilitating, full-on experience. You can continue to persist throughout it, okay? But you will get to a point where something will change. You'll either leave the career, leave your job, you'll get unhealthy, something will happen. And then you'll be able to look back and say, oh God, that's what was going on. But what I would start saying is for you guys to start noticing, because it was only afterwards I started noticing how much of this stuff was going on in my body. Now, the reason for me sharing this is because I want to get you to realize that there is another side to this. And this is what I wish I had learned when I was going to say your age, but it's not an age thing, because you guys probably, you're probably not that much younger than I am. But you know, at the start of my career, or I'm just grateful I learned it in life, to be honest, because I work with people with all different ages, and got a 60-year-old client at the moment who says to me, you know, where has this information been? And I'm like, yeah, I know. I wish we could get it out to more people. So how do we switch it up? How do we get from being in this anxious, stressful, worried out mindset and physicalness? Because to be honest, when anxiety is suppressed in your body, it's not a place you want to be. That's how we get into diseases. That's how we get into depression. That's how we get into all these things. So you want to be able to learn how to express this, how to deal with it, so that you can move over onto the side. And the other side is down here on the right hand side of this slide, okay? This is into the area of knowledge, okay? Study, understanding. So how did I get over here? I started studying. I was like, I'm going to learn about me. Because if I can figure out who I am and I can learn about me, then I'll know more about you. And that's exactly the quest that I went on. I wanted to learn everything about personal development, mindset development, success. What did it look like? Okay. And any of you guys who are here on this call who say to yourself, you want to get out of the state of worry, fear, anxiety, depression, get curious. It's my number one tip is get curious. Do whatever you took. Now, I spent 7 years researching, reading books, YouTube. Like, I was into this stuff. This was my baby. And then I actively started getting certified and working in the space 2 years ago. But I got curious, and I think if you can get a curious mind into that space, and I'm more than happy to talk to anybody who wants some direction, a book to read, or you know, a YouTube person to follow, or something that I found monumental. But this is how you move on to this space, right? Knowledge, study, and understanding, having a level of faith in yourself, and this comes from confidence, self-belief, and understanding who you are. Okay, guys, if you're not confident in yourself when you go into that workplace, you're dust. And your confidence will grow with knowledge, but you also have to fake it till you make it a bit. And I don't mean a cockiness, because to be honest, there's nothing worse than meeting, and I mean this with all due respect, a grad nurse that's cocky, because you know what it means? It means I'm too afraid to ask a question because I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm too self-conscious to even ask, okay? So you want to find this balance between your confidence, okay, and being confident enough to ask a question, because at the end of the day, your patients are important and we need to look after them, and you're there to learn. As when I was working, and I used to have grads come work for me, the number one quality I was looking for was how many questions did they ask a day. That for me was the ultimate confidence. They had the confidence to say, I don't know this, can you help me? Okay. But the confidence is more about you, how you see yourself. Do you see yourself as being someone successful, impactful in that space? Now, if you don't, it's okay, but you can work on it. Like, you can never outperform your self-image, but you can change it. And I can help you do that. Okay. So these are the things that you really want to start thinking about. So it gives you this level of faith within yourself, and that gives you well-being in your body. So, you know, when we were going through that stepping through that experience earlier on today about your perfect day and what that looked like, that's well-being. That's that level of calmness in your body. It's the idea of going to work and achieving things and leaving at the end of the day feeling relaxed, like you have energy to do whatever else is important in life. And life is short. Life is short, guys. I don't know if you've had as much experience with this as I have, but I'm telling you now, things change very quickly for people, okay? So don't live in a state of feeling anxious and overwhelmed. Just know now there's something that you can do about it, okay? Get curious. But again, it all comes back to a decision. you can get on things and you can get onto that page and you can comment to say you're having problems, but if you don't make a decision to actually do something about it, then what's the point? What is the point? Because at the end of the day, it's gonna be more of that habitual behavior. The pattern will go around and around. So you have to decide to take control. You have to decide to be the leader, okay, of your life, which is really important. And it is your life. Nothing else matters. Like, don't be deceived to think that, and I mean this honestly from the bottom of my heart, we are just a number. You can think that you're really special and that you're keeping the place together, because I used to think that way. I was, leading this team. Everyone would tell me, oh, the place is going to fall down if you're not here. What are we going to do without you? Blah, 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 blah. And then I left. And then I went back. And it's still standing. It's still running. They're doing a fantastic job, right? So you need to prioritize you in this space, okay? And you may be thinking, oh, maybe I haven't made the right decision with my career. That's okay. You know that the majority of nurses who qualify this year, majority, like over 50%, will not be in nursing in 10 years' time. So you're probably more than likely going to have another career of some description. So don't worry about it. If you're in that space, it's okay. I did it. It's not that scary. Well, it is terrifying at the time. But if you have support, it's not as bad as being on your own, okay? So it's okay if you're thinking a bit outside the box. Don't worry about it. These are things that you explore it. What does it look like? What do I want it to look like? And then make a decision to go make something happen, okay? Now, I love this. I've got a few quotes to just wrap this up, okay? So if anyone has any questions, I'd advise you to just write them in the Q&A box now, because we're just going to wrap this up. We're probably going to finish a few minutes early, which is a good thing. And you guys can hop into bed a bit earlier. Okay, so you can also unmute yourself if you just want to come talk to me. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. And this is what I feel we need to do with healthcare, okay? It's not about little simple tweaks. It's about you developing you, creating a new model for how you work, okay? And it's not about I'm not talking about going against policies or procedures that are already in place. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your attitude and your mindset towards it. We create that as a consensus across the profession. And can you just imagine the knock-on effect? The place will be just amazing, and patients will be so happy. And this is something that I really think about, because I know for me, for a long, long time, I was so worried about what people think. I was absolutely terrified. Probably number one was my family. It was so funny. I remember, so I obviously emigrated here to pursue my career in nursing, because I loved it, and I will love it till the day I die. But then years in, I turned around to my family and was like, oh, just by the way, so you know, I've decided to do this side hustle thing for a while. I don't really know how it's going to go, but we're going to see how things go. And they were appalled. What are you doing? You've got a pensionable job. You just got your dream job. You worked so hard to get it. You moved to the other side of the world to get this job. What are you doing? Come back to Ireland. If you're not going to be over there nursing, then why don't you just come back? Blah, 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 right? Everyone else's opinion. My advice, two pieces of advice. Stop asking other people for their opinion and stop taking it. Do just once what other people say that you can't do, and you'll never pay attention to their limitations again. I'll tell you guys another little one. I had a boss when I resigned from not my last job, but anyway, I had a boss when I started doing all this, who has taught me a lot. Sometimes people teach you from example. Sometimes people teach you by what you shouldn't do. And I remember when I was telling her, she was like, what are you going to do? She wasn't happy with me at all. What are you going to do? And I said, oh, this is my idea. This is what I'm actually thinking of doing. I feel like I could help people in this space, and I've got this idea. I just have to go to Canada, and I have to go to all these different places first before I can do it. But I feel like this is what I want to do. And she was like, well, I'll tell you one thing. If you want to be successful, there's one thing you need to learn, and you don't have it yet. And I was like, okay, open, because I think that you can learn so much more from feedback from other people. And she was like, you need to learn how to have some goddamn patience, And I remember thinking to myself, you've probably had too much, and that's why you're here and you're miserable. But she was right, because patience is important, but it's patience with the right thing. Don't have patience with something that's not serving you. Don't have patience with something that in your heart and soul isn't serving you and isn't where you want to go. I had this burning desire in my belly that I was like, I know that I can help people in another way. I just don't know how. And I went on this journey to find it, and I found it, okay? So don't listen to other people's criticism, and don't let them hold you back, because honestly, the sky really is the limit. And I mean that. If you had told me 2 years ago that I'd be doing what I'm doing right now, I never ever would have believed you. Okay, sitting on a webinar, this is like, honestly, I used to dream of this stuff. Being on a webinar with up and coming nurses talking about how they can create mindset for success. I literally would be like waking from dreams thinking of it, and here I am sitting doing it, right? So don't limit yourself to thinking about the how, just think about what it is that you really want. And Steve Jobs, I'm sure some of you guys have heard, which is the last quote of the night. For the past 3 years, I've looked in the mirror and every morning, sorry, there shouldn't be another. I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today, for the final day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. So I want you guys to start adopting this, okay? Now, I know when you're in the pursuit of something, there's days where you don't want to do it. I get it, right? I get it. I did it. I understand. Some days I don't want to do what I'm doing too, right? But the majority of the time I do. And the focus, where I'm going, I'm so clear about, and I know why, okay? And it drives me. And believe me, don't settle. If it's not a burning desire within you, if you can't see yourself enjoying it at the end, then just think about what else would inspire you, because there's so much more out there, okay? And there's ways, like, you don't have to take conventional route. And I know this goes against everything that you're getting taught in school, and that's fine. I'm just telling you my experience. I never went back to uni. I never got postgraduate, and I worked as a CNC, senior clinical role. Okay, with the right attitude and the right mindset, you can achieve anything. So for you lucky suckers who came on the call and were good enough, I'm giving away for 2 of you guys the opportunity to win a one-to-one coaching session with me. What you need to do to enter into this is you need to email me why you should win. And it'll be chosen on the best applicant, okay? Like 200, 300 words, okay? Don't get too carried away. But what would this do for you, okay? What would a coaching session with me do for you? Do you want to get clarity on your goal? Do you feel like you're a bit lost and you don't really have clear direction of where you're going? Have you identified a few paradigms that you're holding you back, and you want some skills and tools of how to overcome it? Is there areas of your self-image that you want to work on? You know, is financial freedom something you want to achieve and you want to hear more about how I can help you do that, okay? So whatever area it is, you just write to me and email me. So it's admin@spritzmindset.com. It will go to my team, and you'll hear from either one of them or myself to book in time for your session, okay, for the 2 people that are winners, okay? So I want to thank you all for your time. I really appreciate it, and I know that it's not the easiest thing to do, because often, you know, evening time we just want to chill. I hope that you've got something from tonight. Just know that I'm here if you ever need support or guidance or anything like that, because I understand what you're going through, okay? But I also know there's ways of making it better, okay? So thank you guys all for your attention and your time. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, okay? And I look forward to bringing you your next installment, and enjoy it. You're more than welcome, Belinda. Absolutely a pleasure, okay? Thanks, guys. This will be uploaded. You'll get a copy of this, okay? So you can always watch back, okay? See you all. Thanks again for your time. And it's admin@spritzmindset.com if you haven't scribbled it down, but you should have got an email through your Eventbrite link as well, okay? See you, folks. Have a great night.